by skydiver Amy Kirtland. Thank you for joining us, Amy.
Pleasure.
Amy, you got into skydiving at a very young age. You started when you were 16. So tell us about how you were exposed to the sport and your first experience of your very first jump.
I remember seeing a program on TV when I was young about a tandem skydive, and it mentioned you had to be 16 if you wanted to jump on your own. So when I was 16, I said to my parents, can I have this for my birthday? And they said yes. So I had my first static line experience. I still remember it as though it was yesterday. I was really scared. I was with my sister, so it was really nice to share the first experience with her, and then I just never stopped after that.
And I mean, most kids at that age are doing netball or hockey. So what made you take up something so extreme competitively?
I think I was always quite adventurous as a child. So skydiving seemed to appeal to me, and I just continued, and I happened to meet the right people, and the right people took me under their wings, and I just continued with it.
So, for someone who doesn't really know a lot about the sports, what are the different disciplines of skydiving and how are these disciplines judged?
I always explain skydiving as though if you're a runner, for example, you get a 100-meter sprint, 400-meter hurdles, you could do marathons or 5,000 meters, you get the same in skydiving. You get 4-way formation, 8-way, free-flying, canopy piloting. The one I focus on is 4-way, so there's 4 of us, and we do different patterns or formations in the sky. And how we're judged is from the time the first of your teammates leaves the plane, you're judged on 35 seconds of free fall time. And we're 4 people who do the formations, but we're actually a 5-man team, and your cameraman films you and follows you out, and that footage is submitted to the judges, and they judge it.
So Amy, you have represented South Africa more than any other skydiver in the country. You've gone to the World Championship 7 times. So tell us a little bit about what kind of training goes into being a skydiving athlete of your caliber, and is it more of a physical or mental toll on your body?
So I think it requires both physical and mental training. Physically, you have to be quite fit because when we train our team SAVOLO, we do about 12 jumps a day. We also train in vertical wind tunnels, which are free fall simulators. And then our coach makes us mentally prepare, so the formations, going through what your moves are going to be and visualizing where you need to be at what particular point in the skydive. So I think both are important.
Yeah, and physically, how do you stay fit to skydive?
So personally, I like to do CrossFit. I also try and run a little bit as well. My teammates do different things. Some run, some do just normal gym or parkour or things like that. I think it just depends on what interests you, but for me it's CrossFit. So if you're hanging onto the plane and the plane is flying in at about 80 knots, you have to be able to hang onto the plane. Some of our moves require us to move each other around the sky, so you need to have some form of physical strength, but you don't need to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger. You just have to have some form of fitness.
So let's talk a little bit about you joining the team. You joined a team called SAVOLO. What is the team dynamics of Formation Skydiving, and what kind of trust and courage goes into this kind of thing?
So I've had the privilege of being on great teams throughout my skydiving career. I was on Voodoo for 7 years, and now I've been on SAVOLO for 4 years. And it's also about being with your friends, and you form that trust which you speak about as well, and you get to know one another. So the first year you kind of get to know what certain looks means, and if they're in the sky and you feel this, it's like, oh, they're feeling this, and after about 4 years of being with the team, you really begin to know what that's all about, and you bond together.
And how do you put your own personal fears and anxieties aside and focus on bringing what you have to bring to the team?
I think that comes back to the mental preparation we were talking about earlier as well, and also having trust in your team members and knowing that you're all there and you all have the same goal in mind.
At this stage in your career, is there zero sense of fear when you jump out of a plane?
I wouldn't say that. I would still say there is a fear component, but it's a different type of fear. So it's more not fear of jumping out the plane, it's more nerves from a competition or if you've got a challenging skydive. So we're a gear-based sport, so I trust my gear a lot. So no, I wouldn't say I'm not fearful at all. I definitely do have nerves when I skydive. In skydiving as well, we have a rig which is composed of a reserve parachute and a main parachute. So if your main parachute fails, you have your reserve parachute which you can open as well. So we have a gear-dependent sport, but it's very reliable gear.
And then lastly, Amy, what are your future goals from here? Is it more team-based or do you have individual goals?
It's funny because I've been threatening to stop skydiving competitively for many years, but I just love it. And every year when we have a discussion about what the future plans is, I just love jumping with my team and I love representing. And skydiving is a big passion in my life. So we haven't planned future goals yet. We are doing nationals in 2017 and then we'll discuss it from there. But yeah, definitely not going to stop skydiving anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, Amy, for sharing your story with us today.